Welcome back. You're watching Live in Paris on France 24. It is time for Media Watch France. James Creedon's here in the studio. Good evening to you, James. We're taking a look at what's making the buzz on the French press and on the
buzzing
websites.
Online.
Buzzing away. All right, now let's start off with the Socialist Party candidates' second live television debate. Who came off best during those slots?
We were looking at it earlier, and the thing is, these are never particularly bloody political battles because they've all signed a pact. There are 6 candidates, 5 of them representing the Socialist Party, and they have to represent the same values and the same manifesto. So in fact, really, it's a battle more of form than of substance rather than style, rather than substance is the expression I'm looking for. I'm getting mixed up.
Polite diplomacy rather than a proper political battle. Then
exactly. But so people are looking out for what the different styles are, because style is really more important than the details, which are just tiny details that differentiate them. And on this website Atlantico, if we have a look online, he has been really looking at the body language of each candidate, and what he says is that Martine Aubry is the best. She comes off the best. She can be a bit austere sometimes. That would be her only drawback. She rarely says I, generally says we, so she's kind of inclusive.
Like the Queen.
I suppose, but probably not in the same way. Apparently she wants to represent and not become a symbol of something. They say sometimes they say that Ségolène Royal is trying to symbolise a certain idea of France, whereas Martine Aubry just wants to represent people. As for François Hollande, he uses the lexicon of hope, sort of like Barack Obama, I suppose, and of the future. His non-verbal communication is very broad, and it shows conviction and charisma. So that's his take on things.
All right, now there's one thing politicians dislike more than journalists, and that's opinion polls.
Oh, they hate them.
And the pollsters are having a bit of a troubled time here, aren't they?
They really hate them. And if we have a look at Le Monde, they had this piece today about those opinion polls and how they're a casse-tête, as the French say. It's sort of which actually means a breakhead. Or
a head breaker.
A head breaker.
A headache.
A headache is probably the best translation. Now, they irritate all of the candidates because, in fact, the thing with this primary is we don't really know exactly who's going to go and vote for it. It's open to everybody on the left. All you have to do is sign a little form saying that you have left-leaning values, pay €1, and you can vote. So the thing is, how do these polling outfits or pollsters know who the population of voters is? It's very difficult to know. Yet they're releasing figures which could influence how people vote at the end of the day. So it's a big irritant for the candidates such as Ségolène Royal, Martine Aubry, and all these bigwigs. They hate them.
All right. So their opponent and the current president, of course, Nicolas Sarkozy, he didn't watch this on TV, we can assume, because he was off in Libya again, wasn't he?
Well, he wasn't in Libya this time.
No, he was in Libya last time.
Well, you wouldn't put it past him.
But he did find something better to do, didn't he?
It was quite funny the last time out because, this was the biggest TV moment, that the first TV debate in the Socialist Party calendar, and Nicolas Sarkozy totally trumped them with this triumphant arrival in Libya, I suppose, to do, perhaps some would say, a little bit of a lap of honour.
A hero's welcome, I think.
Exactly. In any case, this time out, he's giving the Legion of Honour to one of, I suppose you could say, France's most kitsch music stars. Now, her name is Yvette Horner. I think we have pictures of her, actually, which are very much worth showing. Now, she is 90 years old. She's an accordion player, and some would say that she's really the kitschest musical performer in France ever. And I think it's worth playing some of those pictures. We'll have a little look if we can.
Oh, there she goes. She's very sprightly for, what is she, 90?
Pretty impressive. She's 90, from the south of France, and some would say that she's sort of, along with the cock, I suppose, she's the other symbol of France.
Right, okay.
So he was giving her the Legion of Honour, which was a nice way of saying, I don't care about the Socialist Party debate.
Maybe people would prefer to watch her rather than
the Socialists
battling
people
it out.
battling it out over the same manifesto.
All right, now, something completely different. Trade unions here are getting a bit worried about a website that identifies what it says are police behaving badly. This has really upset the police here.
That's right. Now, I suppose you could say it's a case of the police being policed, or as the French say, les ficheurs fichés, so the people who document others being documented themselves. And there are laws in France, actually, privacy laws, which don't allow you to give personal details on somebody unless they agree to that information being handed out. So France Info was talking about this morning, and this is an example of the website. It's actually an international website called Cop Watch. Now, this is their blog here. You can see it, and they're talking an awful lot about what's been happening in New York over the last number of days, where people who are trying to occupy Wall Street have been, I suppose, targeted by the police, and the police have had their photos and videos of them put up online. So Copwatch is being used in the States, but also now in France. And the result of that is you've got a Facebook page representing one of these policing unions, advising policemen how they can kind of deal with this. And here on this website only, they're calling it a police paparazzi, the people paparazzi taking photos of the police. We learned that the Ministry of the Interior is actually going to sue this website in the courts. So it's a sort of a French, I suppose, approach to an international phenomenon. They're going to sue them over privacy laws.
Okay, all right. Well, we're ending with something completely different. A cheeky comedian who didn't really want President Sarkozy looking at him while he was getting married.
That's right. Now, the French civil wedding is kind of it's very unusual for people who aren't familiar with it. I was at one myself recently, and what you have is you're inside the city hall, and you have a portrait of the president kind of on
between the couple,
a little
sort of
stand.
Overlooking
Not quite in between them. That might be a little bit too much. But in the corner of the room, you have the president sort of overlooking the whole procedure, and it's a very sort of cold.
Some people might be a little unnerved.
Oh, and I mean, if you're not a Sarkozy voter, you mightn't necessarily want him, present in the room. But in any case, what we learn here is that Stéphane Guillon, now he's a very, I suppose, anti-establishment comedian who was recently, he was removed from his morning slot on the France Inter radio station because of his comments. Just to give an example, when Dominic Strauss-Kahn was coming to the building.
Oh, yes, I remember
this is before the whole scandal in New York. He told all of the women in the building to hide because of his reputation. So they were like, okay, you're a bit dangerous, get out. Now, in any case, what did he do? He covered the portrait of Nicolas Sarkozy with a photo of François Hollande. He just took a sticker and put another politician over Nicolas Sarkozy.
The cheeky blighter.
Now, the mayor who was officiating eventually managed to convince him to take down the offending
Why did he pick
fake
François
president.
Hollande, not Martine Aubry?
Or just some, Mickey Mouse or something kind of comic. That would have been even funnier, I think. In any case, Le Figaro, which is a right-leaning newspaper and tends to defend Nicolas Sarkozy, is very, outraged by this sort of behaviour. And if you can see on their website here, they're calling it an offence against the head of state. Other websites, such as Le Nouvel Observateur, which is more left-leaning, seem to see the funny side of it. They're saying he said yes to Muriel, that's his wife, and no to Nicolas Sarkozy. So there you go. It's sort of a. Again,
that's sort of the kind of thing you expect from comedians. They got a shock, haven't they?
I mean, yeah, if it's his wedding, he's got to sort of pull off some sort of a stunt,
Exactly. All right. Well,
there you go.
Much happiness to the two of them.
Absolutely.
All right, James Creedon, many thanks.
Thanks, Laura.
Indeed. All right, when we come back, I'll have all the latest international headlines for you. Before that, though, here's Web News.